Hello, I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and welcome to Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. Today we're talking about gambling in Iowa. It's a fine line between the freedom to gamble and the risks of abuse, addiction, and financial harm. Angela Harbour from the Area Substance Abuse Council joins us to give us an overview of gambling in Iowa and shed lights on the efforts to protect Iowans. Welcome to the show. Angela, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. So as you mentioned, my name is Angie. I work at the Area Substance Abuse Council, and I work in two different departments. I work in our prevention department, but I also work in our treatment department as well. And so I do some counseling for individuals who have problems with gambling, and then I also work in the community to prevent the problems from occurring in the first place. So on both sides of the fence there. And I've been in this field since 2008, something that I'm very passionate about. So I'm happy to be here today and talk with you more about that.
Well, that makes you sort of an expert. And we've seen, gambling, it used to be sort of special. I mean, that you had to go to a casino that was hard to access. But it seems that it's now everywhere. You can get it on your phone, online. Is it really more of an online thing now, or is it still a casino thing? I mean, where do you see everybody doing most of the gambling? I mean, I guess the dollars tell the story.
Yeah, so our brick and mortar casinos still get a lot of business. I don't think they're going away anytime soon. And we did see an interesting change in the way that people were using casinos during the pandemic. So a lot of our places were closed. There wasn't much of anywhere to go and do, but the casinos were still open. So individuals who maybe never had been to casinos before ventured in for their first time. And we also had individuals that were regulars spend more time there as well. So that's a little bit of a change in the way that casinos work, but the online gaming is definitely a newer issue. We're seeing a lot of individuals that are participating in online sports betting and also with the online casinos as well.
Yeah, we heard that the Super Bowl did a huge amount of betting.
Right.
Now, are these new gamblers in Iowa? Are these people that weren't gambling before, but now because it's become quote unquote legal, do they feel safer or better about doing it?
Are you referring to like the sports betting?
The sports betting, yeah, that seems to be where I hear there's a lot of growth. There
is a lot of growth in sports betting. Yes, it is definitely one of the more popular forms of gambling across the state now. That is for sure. We are seeing individuals who maybe never participated in sports betting before start to do that. But one thing that we do know is that sports betting has been going on even before it was legalized. So now just having that, legalization and a way to track is maybe why you see an increase in the numbers year over year. But it's still very popular, and there's so many ways to go about doing it. It's something that, especially among your males ages 18 to 28 in there, they really get into the sports betting.
Now, just as a little brief look at the average gambler in Iowa, anecdotally, from talking to treatment and professionals that deal with substance use disorder and other things, they often contextualize as the gambler doesn't always look happy. They say that happiness is more consistent with the shorter term that they gamble. So if a few friends go to a casino for a couple hours, they might lose some money, but they sort of work with each other to not let anybody get in trouble, and then they get out and they may not go back for a year or months. But the correlation between other substance uses and gambling seems to be getting stronger when we look at people being admitted to treatment. So they're almost co-occurring disorders in some cases. Does that influence what's happening on the gambling treatment side too?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely, for sure. So our agency, the Area Substance Abuse Council, we've been doing substance abuse treatment for many, many years. And we just recently started doing the gambling treatment. So I think we're in our 4th year now. So for 3 full years, we have been offering that as a service to our substance abuse treatment. And one thing that I think is notable, that if you see individuals in casinos, usually they're consuming alcohol, smoking cigarettes. These addictions all co-occur together. And individuals that are in treatment or recovery for a substance use disorder are also more at risk for developing problems with gambling as well. So that's something to be aware of. Yes, they usually don't happen in a vacuum. Individuals who might be addicted to one substance as a primary may also have secondary addictions as well.
Let's talk about the numbers. About how many people in Iowa gamble annually? What percentage of the population, or is there some kind of number we have?
Yeah, we do have, and I don't have it on me, so I don't want to quote you, but it is pretty high. A vast majority of adults in the state of Iowa do gamble. I do know that over the course of a lifetime, it's 90% of adults will have participated in some form of gambling. I don't know exactly what that is for the year. However, most adults can do it very responsibly. It's something that they see as a form of entertainment. It's not something that they regularly participate in, and they might not experience any problems. So just because we see those big numbers of people participating doesn't necessarily mean that all of them have a problem. But it's a smaller percentage of them that do go on to develop those problems with gambling that we need to catch and get them in for help.
Yeah, they say that in things like alcohol and binge drinking, that 20% of the population consumes 80% of the alcohol, which makes it problematic. Is this a similar sort of relationship with gambling?
It is, yep. So our problem gamblers, those individuals that are spending a lot of time, a lot of their resources, are the ones that are bringing in the most revenue across the state for gambling, for sure.
Well, we're going to take a short break. We come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Angie. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. We're talking with Angie Harbour about gambling in Iowa. Let's look at the different forms of gambling available to Iowans. It's sometimes a pretty complicated network of different things that are out there. Angie, tell us about this.
Well, as it has always been, casinos are the #1 gaming spot for gamblers. Slot machines are the most popular at casinos, and then it goes on to table games. But outside of casinos, there are a lot of other ways that people gamble as well. Scratch tickets, Powerball numbers, sports betting, even things at the fair, raffle tickets, different contests, bingo, those sorts of things are all considered gambling as well. So lots of different ways that individuals can participate in gambling across the state.
Now, do we see kids sneaking into gambling? I mean, we hear about cryptocurrency and other ways that you can sort of hide yourself. What should parents look out for if they're trying to watch over like the shoulder of a child trying to get into gambling?
Yeah, so cryptocurrency is definitely a newer trend in the field of gambling. adults use it quite a bit, but also youth. So the power behind crypto that youth have is that it's not traceable. So if a child has a crypto wallet of any form and they have some cryptocurrency in that wallet, they are able to go onto different websites, most of them not legal and most of them not even here in our country, and place bets on games like slot machines or poker tournaments with their cryptocurrency. And then when they're done, they can cash it out. It will be sent back to their wallet. So it's no different than gambling with real money. It's just crypto.
So for a parent or a loved one, they might want to keep an eye on somebody that talks extravagantly about crypto if they know they have a propensity for gambling.
Yeah, so crypto does have, I do like the idea that it's a newer form of currency that people are wanting to learn about and dabble in. And I don't think, just not allowing it at all is the answer, but there's definitely a concern about how youth are going to be using it if they have it. And as a parent, if that's something that your child is interested in, if they're talking a lot about it, maybe just explore some of the reasons why. What is it about the crypto that you're curious about, or how are you using it, or how do you plan to use it? Where are you spending it if you're spending it? And just kind of, asking those questions to elicit that conversation.
Years ago when the only game in town was gambling at a casino, it was easy to say, oh my God, gambling, it's a sin, all this kind of stuff. But now when you think about the proliferation of gambling online and the social media around gambling, it's almost like, my goodness, go to a casino, enjoy the company of people, walk around a little bit and things like that. So it all is a matter of perspective as it changes over time. What is the future of gambling in Iowa? Is it going to be, besides lottery, which about everybody participates in, is it going to become more online, or casinos have a chance to be there in the future?
Well, I don't think casinos will go away. Not anytime soon. I don't think in my lifetime. They're still making a lot of money, and we're still having casinos pop up across the state, and different referendums come up for them. So casino gambling will always be popular. However, that doesn't mean that online casinos won't become more popular. I do think that, especially during the pandemic and in the years after, we have really put a lot of investment into our technologies. And I know, at least for myself at my home office, it's a lot nicer than it used to be. We are just getting more familiar with how we can use technology to do meetings, to do just about everything. And so I do think the online gambling is going to start taking over. And I think that individuals who have never gambled before might start using the online as a route to get into that and to feel it out and see what it's about.
Now, here's another thing about this Iowa Nice thing. We have Iowa-based casinos that give a lot of money back to communities and grants and things. But when they go online, a lot of these places have no vesting in Iowa, don't give any money back. I mean, should we be pushing people to spend more time in our casinos because of the give back than the going online?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Peter. I don't know that I know the answer to that, but what I do know is that you're absolutely right. So one of the worst parts about online casinos is that, as I mentioned, a lot of them aren't even in this country, and they don't follow the same regulations, and they don't have the same protections that a brick and mortar casino here within the state has. Somebody might be swindled out of their money. There might be Ponzi schemes going on, and that has happened with some bigger name casinos online in years past. And so people might have a lot of money in their online casino account that just disappears. And where do they go? They have nowhere to go because what they were doing was illegal. And the source of it is hard to track and probably not held to the same standards as we do here in the state of Iowa. So yeah, I don't know that I know the answer to that, but definitely it is nice to be able to keep your gambling here within the state.
Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to ask Angie to share some reflections on sort of the powerful forces that drive people to indulge in gambling, and how that affects both their lives and what is being done in treatment. See you all after the break. You don't want to miss this.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here.
Wait. What?
I can't drive.
Why?
My. Oh.
Welcome back to Surviving Bad. I'm your host, Peter Komendowski, and we're talking with Angie Harbour, an expert in the field of problem and disordered gambling. You know, it's about the urge to gamble and the risks that some people face, and it's sometimes hard to understand. Angie, especially, you know, we understand problem gambling. What does this disordered gambling phrase mean?
Sure. So disordered gambling is a newer clinical term. It's what we use to name somebody who might have an inability to control their gambling behaviors. In the past, you may have heard it called pathological gambling. And that was because we didn't really understand the disorder as much as we do now. But pathological gambling was classified under the same categories as other impulse control disorders such as nymphomania and pyromania, kleptomania. But research has come a long way, and we now understand that disordered gambling activates the same pathways in the brain as substance use disorders. And so now we've pulled it over into a different category, and we're able to diagnose and treat it very similar to the way that we would diagnose and treat substance use disorders. So that's why we call it disordered gambling now.
So when we get into, I mean, you get to work with people that are trying to heal. What are some of the things that they say about their gambling experiences and the lack of control? You know, as people are coming out on that other side after they're getting some treatment, you know, that's when you really hear the powerful testimonials to what they've been through. What are some of the things you can share with us?
So individuals that are active in their addiction have some of the things that they might say when they first seek help is, I don't know why I can't stop. I don't understand it. I don't even have money for food. I use my entire paycheck the moment that I get it to gamble. And then I spend the next 2 weeks looking for $1 so I can gamble again. And they've really taken it away from that financial aspect that I hope I win thousands and thousands. And it becomes more of just the act of continuing to do it. So it's not about the money. I think that that is a very common misconception, is that people believe that individuals who have gambling problems are doing it so they can win money. Individuals that are in active addiction don't really care about the money. It's the high that they get from those wins and the stimulation that they get from that continued play.
Even a person that you talk to that doesn't gamble much will talk about, you know, I put $20 in and I was up 100, but I kept putting it back in. And in the end, I've lost $40 because I put another 20 in trying to get my money back. You know, I mean, even not an addict. I mean, somebody that's just using it on occasion senses that, you know, the bells are going off, the whistles, the sounds, and they want to win 1,000 or 10,000. But that's not a practical thought in a typical gambling venture in a casino, is it?
No, not practical at all. In fact, you know, the longer you play, the more you play, the chances that you're going to lose more. That's the only thing that increases, not your chances of winning. But you're right that, you know, the sounds, the bells, and I think individuals who do have problems with gambling, that is one thing that keeps them there, that keeps their mind and their brain going are those sounds, those bells, those whistles. It almost tricks them into thinking, even though they're not winning, that they are winning because of the excitement. So yeah.
Now, we talked about youth and we talked about parents and different signs and triggers. What about the elderly population? You know, when I go canvas casinos, I see a lot of elderly people. And I gotta be honest, they don't often look happy, but they're there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just am trying to decipher that environment. I walk in and it doesn't give me a feeling of, ooh, this is great. It's not like a feeling going to church or the library or even meeting friends for a beer or something. It's just, there's a pall over it because I think people are taking money from one pocket and sticking it into something. But you see a lot of elderly people. Is there a lot of treatment and work going on with elderly in Iowa when it comes to problem gambling?
Yes, they're definitely one of our highest at-risk groups. And I don't think that, I mean, you mentioned it, but almost everybody knows that. Elderly have a lot of risk factors that others don't. They may have assets that they're able to liquefy very quickly, retirement or pensions or whatnot. They might be coping with very hard emotions of losing loved ones, losing family members. They might not be able to enjoy the same hobbies that they have always enjoyed because of their mobility or their ability to get out and do the things that they once enjoyed doing. So casinos are a welcoming environment for an individual in those circumstances. And I think that if you were to look at those things, it makes up a vast majority of the seniors here in the state of Iowa. So they will, they do welcome them in. And we would hope that when seniors are gambling in casinos, that they're setting really healthy boundaries for what is appropriate and what's not appropriate, and what can I afford and what can I not afford, and how do I stop and how do I get out of here if I run out of money or I've hit my limit. So we do work with seniors quite a bit, but they are one of our biggest at-risk groups, definitely.
That's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that, because we do all want to care for our seniors. And here's a senior speaking on that note. Well, after a short break, we're going to ask Angie to share some final comments, insights, and inspiration. You don't want to miss this.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Welcome back. Today on Surviving Bad, we're talking with problem gambling expert Angela Harbour. Let's see what insights, advice, and inspiration she has to share with us. Angie, welcome back.
Thank you. So we're coming up on the month of March, and March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. So we're just doing a lot of efforts to get the message out there about what responsible gambling is, but also what do you do if somebody you know has a problem with gambling? First and foremost is not to ignore it. And I know that sometimes that's easier said than done. Financials are still a taboo topic, and they're hard to bring up to anybody, even if they're within your family. It's typically something we just don't talk about. But if you do know somebody that's struggling with gambling or might be having issues, let them know that there are resources out there for help. So they can contact us at ASAC. We're www.asac.us, or they can visit yourlifeiowa.org to find a facility in their area. And if you are going to gamble and you're an adult of age, there are some things that you can do to keep it safe and responsible. always set a limit for how much you're going to lose or how much you're going to win, and stick to that limit. Also set a limit on the amount of time that you're gambling. And don't gamble with money that you don't have, that you need for things like bills, and make sure you have a good safety net in reserve too, and keep that there. So.
And I think a lot of people don't know that the real stress and anxiety of gambling disorder has a huge effect on the family members, on spouses, on children. And it's also harder for them to intervene and try and get somebody help, because that group dynamic is complicated. And the gambler might be a little bit defensive for an intervention. What advice would you give to somebody like a family member or even a young adult, if they're in the proximity of somebody with a gambling problem, to effectively start a conversation about it so they don't just antagonize them or alienate them?
Sure. So I'm really glad that you bring that up. And you're absolutely right. The impacts are widespread. So the immediate family, children, spouse, the community, the workplace, schools, there's impact everywhere. If you know somebody that is having problems with gambling and it's impacting you, you should also know that there's help out there for you. So if that person doesn't at that time choose to seek help, you can still reach out and speak with a counselor, come in and do sessions to learn how to have that discussion with your family member, or how to protect yourself until they're at that place where they're ready to seek help.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us today, Angie, and sharing this important message. And thank you all for watching today. Check out our website, ahealthyiowa.org, and keep your eye on MediaCom MC22 for our next episode of Surviving Bad, where we explore stories of survival, hope, and inspiration. On MediaCom MC22, your local programming leader.